Shōgun was created by Rachel Kondo and Justin Marks. It is a drama television series that just recently had its first season complete. It's airing on FX. Not just recently, it's actually like a couple months ago at the time that I'm recording and this is coming out. It is based on a 1975 novel of the same name written by James Clavell. There was also a miniseries of the show that was adapted just 5 years after the release of the novel in 1980. In a nutshell, this pretty much tells the story of a meeting of two different cultures, of the English and the Japanese in 1600. After an English sailor by the name of John Blackthorne gets shipwrecked onto Japan, he comes face to face with the people that inhabit this part of Japan that he stumbles upon. Among some of the significant people in Japan in the area that Blackthorne stumbles upon are Lord Yoshi Toranaga, who's one of the regents in Japan at the time, as well as Todo Mariko, who acts as a translator for Blackthorne, especially in particular when he's trying to communicate with Toranaga. It is an epic show not only in terms of its themes, its concept of these dueling worlds, as I said, these two very different cultures, opposing cultures in some instances kind of coming together, working together, or trying to, and succeeding and also not succeeding at times, as well as its setting, parts of it taking place on the ocean, on these ships, and then the vast majority of it taking place in Japan, as I said, also in 1600. So all these kinds of architectural landscapes that characters are a part of that come across in Japan. I mean, the production design goes crazy. This really is a feat, in my opinion, for modern television. I haven't seen the show this big in scope in a while, and done extremely well at that, too. This is a beautiful looking show. I will be doing them a disservice by not mentioning their names. Christopher Ross, Sam McCurdy, Mark LaLiberte, and Ariel Retblatt, hopefully I said all those correctly, did a great job with the cinematography in the show. I mean, it looks film-esque at times. I could imagine seeing this on the big screen in a movie theater and thinking that it's just a movie and it's not a TV show that was on network television, for Christ's sake. I feel like nowadays most of these kinds of shows that have these kinds of settings and locations that they're utilizing are streaming and not on network TV. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert when it comes to how shows are distributed, whether they're on cable or streaming. Maybe some people have a better judgment on that. But I would have expected a show like this to be streaming, and it is streaming on Hulu. Of course, it goes to Hulu after FX. I think that's how it works. But it also has its episodes premiere on FX, too, on cable. I don't know, I just find that kind of strange, but cool. I meant to mention this earlier. I'm kind of doing this video in a weird order. I don't, it would feel weird if I edited this before when I start talking about what the show is kind of about and, going in depth in the cinematography, so I'll just say it here now. I actually did watch the first 3 episodes in real time as they premiered on FX. I was there watching it with everyone else. I mean, it was only for a couple of weeks because the first 2 had their premiere back to back. But I was watching the show as it was coming out and I was liking it. And, it wasn't because I disliked it or anything, but I just fell off the show because I got busy with other things, busy with life, stuff like that. And I just kind of stopped watching the show for a while. So I only actually caught up to it starting like maybe a week or 2 ago. I started catching up with the episodes. And I'm so glad I did. I was hesitant to do it because it had been so long since I had watched any of it, like 3 months-ish or nearly 3 months. And I mean, for me, it gets a lot better from episode 4 on. When I started watching it again, I was like, oh, okay, this is it. This is what everyone is saying about it. This is awesome. I thought episode 4 was great, and I think that there are some even better episodes that come after that. Namely, Crimson Sky, the penultimate episode of the season. There's 10 episodes, by the way. Forgot to mention that. An absolute feat for all television this year thus far, if you ask me. I know I've said that I'm not the best at watching shows. I don't watch a lot of shows, a lot of new shows. I have a hard time keeping up with them. I'm trying to get better, trying to do better this year. So I have watched several different shows now this year, new shows, and I think this is probably the best episode of any show that I've seen this year at this point. It was just a hell of an episode and a hell of a showcase for Anna Sawai, who plays Mariko. I don't mean to keep saying this and using this kind of terminology in the video. I don't want to do that. I don't want to overhype this show, because it is great, but it is flawed, and I'll get to some flaws later. But I don't care. I'm just going to say it. Todo Mariko is one of the best characters I've seen in any show in a while. I've seen comments on the internet, random things saying like, oh, what a great female character. This is how you write a strong female character. I respectfully disagree. I think this is how you write a strong character. The struggle that is depicted here between the strong loyalty she has towards Toranaga and what he stands for and what the other people of Japan stand for, and how she has this loyalty and shares these beliefs, but also has these other things that she just wants in life, and she, at a certain point, just kind of doesn't want to be a part of that anymore. This, as well as her backstory, which is briefly explored. I would have liked a little more of that, but I do like the instances that we got of that. I also love the dynamic that they explored between Mariko and John Blackthorne, who's, like I said, the sailor that was shipwrecked and is having to kind of be a part of this world now. That was definitely one of my favorite parts of the show, was how the relationship between them was portrayed and how they were able to find such a strong and palpable connection, even though they come from completely different worlds, but they kind of wanted similar things and they had similar aspirations. Beautifully done. Loved what they did with those two characters. The two of them together, I mean, as like a unit. All I want in life right now is just for Anna Sawai and an Emmy to materialize in front of me, and I just want to just take the Emmy and then hand it to her, and then she can go off or disappear or whatever. That's all I want in life right now, is to be able to do that. And Blackthorne I also found to be quite interesting as well. He probably has maybe not the most dramatic, but the most significant arc in the show, considering how he starts as just this British maritime pilot, and how he's kind of just thrown into this situation, literally, kind of, and he's now made to just kind of become a part of this world and a servant, essentially, to Toranaga. You could say that, but that's at least how I interpreted that. But I just thought it was very interesting how he did basically become one of them by the end, and how well he was speaking the language, you know, not perfect, but a lot better than at least it was initially. In a way, it's almost like he was humbled by this experience of getting shipwrecked. Great character, though, really like the main character that we do follow in the show, the protagonist, and I thought Cosmo Jarvis did an awesome job in the role. And of course, there's Lord Toranaga, portrayed by Hiroyuki Sanada, who is a legendary actor. I mean, come on. What else is there to say about how good this guy is? Of course, with this role, he was going to do a great job, and he does. Playing the villain, you could say, kind of the show. But I think making for a very sympathetic one, and one you do understand, and his decisions make sense from his point of view. Very smart character, calculated, understanding, sympathizing with certain characters as well that are maybe not on his side, but not afraid to get the job done too if he needs to. If he needs to get down and dirty, he does. Another just awesome character. Yeah, if you can't tell, I just love how the characters were written in this show. As far as like a couple other standouts, Fujisama was one that I really liked. She acted as a consort to Blackthorne. Or Kashiki, who is another servant of Toranaga, and very shifty one too, kind of one that you don't trust too much, even though you kind of sometimes do trust him, but then he turns his back again. Unpredictable character, and likable too still, even with the shitty things that he does and the backstabbing that he does. It's like he's still this kind of charming guy, I can't lie. But yeah, like I said, the show, you know, in my opinion, really took off from episode 4 on. I don't know if it's because of the way I watched it. Maybe if I had kept up with it week by week, it would have been different. My thoughts would be different. I don't know, but with my experience, it really kind of became a great show from that point on, and it just got more and more exciting, intense, and nerve-wracking as it went on, as certain episodes would pass and another one would come. And it's funny saying that because there really isn't a whole lot of action in the show. When it is there, when there's fighting and combat, it is very well done, extremely well choreographed, I thought. The scenes tended to kind of come out of nowhere, not only the fighting, but then the grotesque violence that would come from that was shocking at times. And like I said, it was still good at first. I was enjoying it initially, but it was slow. I think in comparison to the rest of the show, the first few episodes, 3 episodes, I would say, are slower paced, not as entertaining as what we would get later on. There are also a couple of characters. One in particular was a very strong tie-in to the Mariko character that is introduced into the show and is sort of an unexpected appearing figure in the story. Unexpected for us watching the show, but also the characters too. This person just kind of comes in and is just there. And it was interesting. I liked the idea of having a character kind of just come in and not wreak havoc necessarily, but just be there and have this strong presence kind of out of nowhere. But I wish they had done more than that. It was really only one episode I felt that this character had a significant role and impact on the other characters, and the overall story of the season. There are some stylistic choices that I was a little confused by as well. One in particular with the John Blackthorne character, where at a certain point in a certain episode, you kind of get hints of what he's thinking about or what's in his head, or possibly something that's in the future that he is predicting. Maybe it was a little confusing the way it was done and how they would show him and then show this thing happening / existing. It all sounds vague. I don't want to get too specific and spoil it, but I wasn't sure what they were trying to accomplish there. Didn't hate it, but it was like, why is that there? Guys, in the end though, this show was so great, Shōgun. I love this first season that they made. I say first because I've heard they actually are working on seasons 2 and 3, or not working on them, but they have renewed for them. This was a mini-series for a while. It was just going to be a mini-series until the massive success of it critically and also the popularity of it. And there is a season 2 and a third season on the way now. I had mixed feelings on that. Of course, I'm excited to see more of this world, and especially if the crew for the show is returning. That's great, because that was one of my favorite parts of the show, was just how it all came together and how they all worked together, and the look of it, the way it was all constructed was so great. But with the way that the story ends and where we leave off on the characters, I just don't know if we need any more. I feel like this would have been a good ending for the series to just stop here. But I will definitely watch seasons 2 and 3 when they come out. I loved this first season of Shōgun, and I would give it a 9 out of 10. Let me know what you think if you have watched the entirety of this first season. If you have a favorite episode or a favorite character, or if you read the book, also how do you think it compares to that? Have you seen the original 1980 miniseries too? I just want to know your thoughts on all kinds of things like that. But with that said, I'm all done with this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video. Peace out.